Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today I'm back with another Bible journaling process video for you guys. We are continuing to work through Paradox, Truths and Contrast from ByTheWell4God. This has been the kit for the month of January. Next month's kit, I believe it's called Together, should be releasing next week, the week of the 20th. So stay tuned for that. So I am wanting to get this kind of wrapped up before the end of the month, but know that you can work through this at your own pace. At the filming of this, we're only halfway through the month, so you may only be about halfway through the kit. Maybe not at all. Take your time. Don't stress. So don't feel pressured that you are, further behind than maybe where I'm at. I'm just on a little bit different of a timetable as I, get the new things out to you guys and work on projects. So I did want to update you guys that I now have all 14 days of my notes now available. And so if you've not seen any of my other Paradox videos, this is going to be new to you. So there will be a link down in the description box. That link will take you to a Google Doc, and on that Google Doc will be a list of links. So there is a link for each day of the devotional, and that is a free printable of the notes that I have compiled for each day of the devotional. So all 14, and they are formatted so that you can print them and cut them down and adhere them directly into one of the blank traveler's notebook inserts. So you don't have to use this. Definitely would encourage you guys to do your own study, but I hope that this might be helpful. Maybe go through your study, and then this may pick up some things that maybe you hadn't seen or found in your own time of study. I use Blue Letter Bible, the David Guzik commentary. I use study Bibles. I use BibleRef.com. So lots of different resources that I've used, and a little bit of my own thoughts in here. But also I try to type out every single verse, even if it's in the devotional already. Oftentimes, Judy will have for us additional study verses, and so I get those in here as well. And so I really love this process that I did this month. This is the first time that I've kind of done this, and I feel accomplished. Even though I've only done a couple of Bible journaling pages, I know that I have worked through all of the material of the devotional, studied it. I've done a little bit of artsiness here in my journal, and now I just kind of have the freedom to create in my Bible, maybe on some days that stand out to me, and I don't feel like that pressure that I have to stay on a timetable. So that worked a little bit better for me this month, and hopefully that is how I will be doing it going forward. So definitely take advantage of those notes. Again, those will be linked down below for you guys. But today we are working on day 8, Hungry but Satisfied. This one, just like I think the last video that we did, not intentionally, was for day 5, I believe. Maybe, I don't remember, had a little tip in. Day 8 has a tip in. So you may notice when you go to print the file, it's actually 2 pages or 3 columns. And the way that I attach this in here is that this 3rd column, I leave a little bit wider of a margin, and then I sandwich that margin between the printable page and the page of the notebook. And that's how I create this little kind of fold out tip in. You'll notice the same thing for day 14 is a little mini tip. You can make them as big as you want if you want some extra journaling space. I think that might actually be a really great idea going forward, is to maybe do a tip-in page like this for every single page. If you wanted to have room to jot down your own notes, that would be a really great way to incorporate that into this notebook and just really, really, kind of fill it out. Maybe even doing your creative reflection in here as well. If you use like mixed media paper or something like that, then you could have, an area to kind of be creative, take some notes, and then you really wouldn't even need to have a journaling Bible in addition to this. So that's an alternative idea for you guys. So going forward, my plan is to continue doing this structure of notes. But looking at day 8, like I said, hungry but satisfied. The whole theme of this kit has been paradoxes. And so Judy is sharing with us, a couple instances probably in our journey, our faith journey, where we experience hunger, whether that is as non-believers, just God has put it within our hearts to hunger for him, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. And so as non-believers, hungering, knowing that there's a hole in our life, but then once we become believers, having a hunger to know God more and more, and doing that through his word. And it's through his word that we are satisfied. It's through Jesus Christ that we are satisfied. So we kind of see this paradox of hunger and satisfaction throughout our journey as Christians. So I have included all of the scripture in here for you that Judy has for that day 8, and then just some notes. Again, I don't include everything in here. It's just what I can kind of pull out, sticks out to me. Also, I'm trying to work within the constraints of sizing. So I want it to kind of fit, on one page spread. I do include the word studies as well. So if you have the flashcards, I went ahead and separated those out for each individual day that they match up with. And so I have included those. I will note that one of the days, it was one of the last 4 days that I just did, I threw in an extra word study in there. Just because I thought that it really stood out and was important. I can't remember. When you go through the notes, you may find that there is a word in here that there is no flashcard for. That's because I threw it in there on my own. So I do include those in your notes. But there's kind of look at the notes. You can grab those down below, but let's take a look at what I have planned for my Bible journaling page. So I'm continuing to work in my interleaved journaling Bible. I am using something today that is discontinued, and it really is nearly impossible to find. Oftentimes with these impresslets from Tim Holtz, you can find them on eBay, or some craft stores still have them in stock. This one in particular seems to just be really gone. So I would encourage you to use what you got. You may want to use one of the stamps that has snowflake stamps and then cut those out. Maybe you want to use a different set of snowflake dies. But I hate the idea of having stuff in my office that I don't use, really, because the only time I create is on camera. I don't have a lot of off-camera creative time. And so while I try to resist using things that you guys can't get, I don't like the idea of just keeping this in my office and then it just goes to waste, doesn't get used. I spent money for this. I want to use it. So like anything that I do on here, just use it as inspiration and then adapt it with the supplies that you have. So today we're going to go and do a technique that I haven't done in a very long time. Kind of one of the OG Bible journaling techniques is some smushing with watercolors. So we'll be doing that for some background techniques. Like I said, I'd use the impresslets, using some of the pattern papers from this collection for Paradox, and then ran that through my die cutting machine. These impresslets impress texture and cut out the shape at the same time. So because I have some texture on here, I'm going to be doing a fun little treatment to it. Let's see, a lot of dies. This one's discontinued too, but I know you can still find this one. This one doesn't have texture on it, but some dies do have embossing texture on them as well. I will try to find something that may substitute and put that down below for you guys if you are looking for something. You could also do an embossing folder, emboss paper, and then just fussy cut out around the snowflakes. That would be another way to kind of fake this technique that I did here as well, or just use whatever. I'm using one of the journaling cards. I'm going to journal one of the quotes from the study notes. I have a couple of the die cuts. I did go ahead and fussy cut out right up against the edge, got rid of the border. I just thought that I would like the look of that a little bit better. I'm also going to incorporate some of these. These are the add-on washi mini stickers. So I think I'm going to include some of that, but it's going to be a fairly simple page, but there will be a couple little techniques you might be able to use in other things. So let me go ahead, put you guys on fast forward, and we will I guess I should tell you what scripture we're journaling. We are journaling Matthew 5, verse 6. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. I thought that was a good encompassing verse for today. So I will go ahead and put you guys on fast forward, and we'll put together this entry for Matthew 5, chapter 6. All right, so we are going to start with these embellishments. I have here some foundry wax, and I have a couple videos using this. Tim Holtz has a much more thorough video using this because it can be a little bit of a finicky product, but I am working on a nonstick craft mat. I'm only putting a little bit of this out at a time because it does like dry up and become powdery pretty quick. And then I'm using a brayer tool to brayer this over the high points of these snowflakes, and I will heat set them all at the same time. You do have to heat set this particular medium. I don't use this medium a ton, just it can be a little finicky, but it did add a fun little like shine to these snowflakes. So I am going to use a set of tweezers to hold on to them because there is foundry wax all over them. And then I'm using an embossing tool to heat up that wax. And you can't see it so much on video. And in small amounts, it can be kind of tricky to see, but you can see it in person melt as it reacts with the heat. And it becomes this metallic finish on the high points of those snowflakes. And then you just clean it up with alcohol. Here I'm showing you that you could also use this embossing folder or a textured embossing folder and then kind of fussy cut out different areas and use it in place of those snowflakes that I created. Moving on to the background, I am spraying it down with, or I'm spraying down my page with some water. And then I'm working on a scrap piece of plastic. This could be packaging plastic. This one in particular is like the front sheet of a stamp set. And then I'm just adding some different blue watercolor droplets onto that plastic, misting it so it's nice and wet. I wanted this to be a really pale background. So the more water that you have, less pigment, the more like faint the color is. And that was what I was going for. And so I get some color on that plastic sheet and then like smush it, dab it, plop it onto the background page. If your page is wet, you'll get a much more like smooth, fluid look. If your page is dry and you smush it, you'll get more like harsh lines and droplets. So I'm just kind of playing with that, drying it in between layers, layering it up, but just like you would with any other, project that you use watercolor with. Watercolors work a little bit better if you just slowly build up layers. And so that is what I'm doing here. I'm just wanting to add a little bit of that color to the background. Made sure that was good and dry, and then I'm going in with some picket fence distress spray stain. I don't know that this step was really necessary. Uh, I wish they would come out with an interleave Bible with white pages. That would be ideal. So at first I splattered it on there and then I sprayed it on there, kind of dabbed it around. In reality, you really couldn't see this. I just thought maybe it would kind of like mute some of the blue, just add some more layers. I don't know. Dried that, and then now I'm going in with some of that, what is it, raw umber, I think, watercolor that came with the kit. And I'm just sprinkling that in a couple different places, not a ton, just a little bit. Made sure that was all good and dry, and then now we can start placing our elements. So you can see this is a very, very, very simple entry, but there's plenty of interest just with those little details like the watercolor in the background, the little bit of gold on the snowflakes. But in reality, there's not a lot stuck down on this page, but kind of positioning everything where I want it here, and then I can start gluing things down. I'm using my favorite Barely Arts liquid glue. At first, I glued those two large snowflakes down, and then before I continue gluing, I am going to add another layer here. So I thought about adding some fabric, but I didn't want to be too bulky. So I'm using one of these faux washi stickers, and you're going to see me fuss with this like crazy, trying to get like these are not real washi tapes. Once it's stuck down, it is stuck down. So I'm wanting to make sure it's good and straight. And then before I stuck it down, I decided I wanted not straight edges. So I'm kind of like hacking away and tearing away and wiggling my scissors to give myself a more organic edge and top to this. So it looks like a true like torn piece of tape or fabric. So this is giving me the look of having those fabrics and the textures and the lace without actually adding lace onto the page. Of course, it doesn't feel like lace, but I'm trying to just not be too bulky here. And it just adds an additional layer. And so now I can go ahead and finish kind of gluing things down, getting everything arranged there. And then I am going to cut off what's hanging off the edges here. I know you can't see in the camera there, but I'm going to save some of those little pieces. And I ended up adding a few of them so it looks like the snowflakes are kind of falling off of the page. And this seems like such a teeny tiny little detail, but it really like added something. It just made it feel like this image went larger than the actual page. I don't know, might seem silly, but don't throw away your scraps. You can use them for little embellishments like that. I went ahead and journaled out one of the Charles Spurgeon quotes from my notes, and that is it. Very, very simple entry today. Everything will be linked down below for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below for me. Check out the description box for links to everything. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.